Hey there, welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to be learning how to draw this. There's an image, just wait for it. Here I have a silhouette of this character, and I want to highlight all the important muscles of the body that show through in a silhouette. Now, granted, not all people design with silhouettes. Some people do line drawings, but I think regardless of which method you're doing, it's important to think about the silhouette, whether you're doing a line drawing or a silhouette itself, because you want to have an iconic silhouette, right? Like, I don't know, for example, if you're painting the character that you designed and maybe they're in the background, you want their silhouette to stand out so people are like, oh, hey, that's so-and-so's character. Alrighty, as you can see, I have a anatomical turnaround here, and I'm just going to go through the muscles that are important to the silhouette. So let's get into it. So starting at the top of the body, we have the traps. Then moving right down along, we have the deltoids, bicep, tricep, brachialis, and forgive me because I forget the name of this bottom muscle. The pecs are also important, but it kind of depends on the angle of which your character is drawn at. The external oblique, which is actually just this part. This right here is the serratus. And then moving down to the lower half of the front, we have the quadriceps. And then we have these muscles are also important. Forgive me because I forget the name. But again, it kind of depends on the angle. And then I would say that this muscle here that I also forgot the name of is also important, but again, depends on the angle. So moving to the back, as we highlighted earlier, traps, or sorry, the triceps rather, but the traps too. Also the traps. Like if you're doing the character turnaround, you know, the traps are important. The lats are also important. The glutes, but the glutes are more important on female characters because typically the glutes are more emphasized on female characters. The hamstrings, but I would say, again, that depends on the angle. And then the gastrocnemius. And this is this muscle right here. So what the point of highlighting these muscles is that when you're doing a silhouette or a line drawing or whatever, these are the muscles that provide key information, right? So we know that this guy has all the muscles that everyone else in the world has, but we can see that the muscles I just outlined are highlighted in the silhouette, and these provide the key information to kind of show this guy's physique off, right? So the quads, deltoid, bicep, tricep, brachialis, the other muscle that I forget, the gastrocnemius, the lats, right? The oblique right here, traps, so on and so on. Moving right along to proportion, or a lot of proportion has to do with head size, right? So this guy looks very large because his head is smaller, right? So if I made his head bigger, right, he may not look as tall. He now looks a little bit more evenly proportioned. So this applies to this big guy. This also applies, well, I mean, applies everywhere, obviously, but I just want to show how, you know, we can take her and make her head bigger. It makes her seem a little bit younger, a little bit shorter, right? So big, medium, and small shapes is another thing to keep in mind for stylizing the body. So you can do it on a larger scale. So you can do like a big chest, small head, and medium legs. And what I think it's important to do is not do it like big, medium, small, but do it like big, small, medium. Basically just keep the order of big, medium, and small contrasting to make them opposite to make it more interesting, right? So this is big, and then we have small on this end and medium down here. So it contrasts, right? And I mean, you could do you could keep it in order and I'm sure it'd still look okay, but I personally find having the contrast up here more interesting. And then, like I said, you could do it on a large scale, but you could also do it on a smaller scale. So this might not look great because I'm editing it with a gray fill, but whatever, we're just gonna try it. So you could do like a big shoulder, a small bicep, right? And then a medium forearm. Right, so you could change it on that kind of level as well. So you can really mess with big, medium, and small shapes like a lot on a small scale or a large scale. It's really up to you. But I think it's also very important to know this when with character design, because I find, I mean, everyone has their own personal opinion, but I find personally that having a character lineup where the characters are all differently proportioned a lot more interesting than everyone having the same exact proportion. Like, I'll try to do this real quick. Like, imagine if we just had all these guys and they were all the same height. Like, it'd be fine, I guess, but it wouldn't look all that interesting. It would be kind of like, oh, well, they're all just the same. And I guess it also depends on context of your world. Okay, you get it. So it depends on the context of what you're designing, I suppose. So maybe everyone in your world is normally proportioned and you don't want to go too crazy with the proportions, and that's fine. But I think if you're going to do that, try to make the design interesting. Alright, so today we're going to be drawing both of these models, but I'm going to start with the female. The way that I start just drawing bodies in general, stylized bodies, whatever, I start with gesture. Alright, so I'm going to work on this and then I will check back in with you guys in a sec. So now that I've got the gesture down, this is where I will actually start trying to stylize shapes and draw in a stylized way for the body. So one really essential method of capturing the gesture that I really like, especially for the torso area, is the squash and stretch. So basically, right, squash and stretch as it sounds. Now it's not as extreme here. Usually it's like a kind of this shape, right, where you have one side pushing in, or pinch and pull as well. Pinching in and then one side pulling. So in this case, it'd be like this side is pinching and then this side is pulling out. And so I guess when I'm drawing the gesture, I'm trying to get the center line down, the line of action, and I'm plotting the hips and the shoulders so then I can set up for an alley-oop of a pinch and pull. So I'm gonna be like this, and then this. And then from there I can start to build up the forms. You might not get it right the first try. Like, maybe this is not perfectly accurate, so I will go and adjust it a little bit as I see fit. So as I'm going forward here, I'm seeing issues. Obviously, I don't know if maybe you, the viewer, are seeing some issues yourself. I'm mostly having trouble with this leg because it's a little bit foreshortened, but knowing the anatomy comes in handy because, or if you know the anatomy, it comes in handy. So that's why I recommend you guys practice your anatomy. But I know that the hip is right here and that her glute is right there, and that the quadricep is coming out of here and connecting down. And so it's really about just getting all of these kind of shapes right so then I can get that foreshortening right. Um, and yeah, so just keep that in mind as you're going through your drawings is, okay, where is this muscle and where is that muscle, and is the shape right? I think more than knowing the muscle names or the placement, it's about getting the shape right. That's really the essence of it. Alrighty, y'all. So as you can see, we finished our first character. So I'm gonna move on to the male character now, and it's basically just gonna be the same process of drawing the gesture, and then making sure I've got all the proportions right with the basic construction, and then moving on to the refinement where I'll stylize the shapes, push proportions, etc., etc., etc. So let's get right on to that. Alrighty, guys, so as you can see, we finished up our figures. I gave them some color to make them pop. So to really sum up the process of achieving this is finding your reference, doing the gesture, making sure that your gesture is accordingly placed out or mapped out, or rather, according to your reference, making sure everything is anatomically okay, and then going for the adjustments of stylizing, the deltoid or the tricep or the bicep or stylizing whatever it is that you may want. I do wish that I chose a different pose just for this video so you guys could kind of see the scale difference in the two characters to really emphasize shapes and proportion and all that kind of stuff. But I was just going through the reference folder and thought this pose would look cool, but I wasn't thinking too much about it. But that would be another problem for another day. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments if you did. Let me know what I can improve next time. If you want to subscribe to my Patreon, I'll have the PSDs and the full layer breakdowns, as well as the full time lapse. So, other than that, I will catch you.